Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video I would like to talk about the prolongation of the residence permit. So as you know, and it's probably saw already, I have a YouTube video about getting the residence permit the first time, when you apply for the residence permit, when you get the visa, student visa to come to Austria, and then you get it for the first time. It's all very, it's all new for you, you're stressed, you're worried, but now around more or less 1 year has passed, right? Probably a bit less because you have to renew it before it expires, but yeah. And now you're ready to, well, go through that amazing journey once again. And let me tell you, so if it was stressful the first time, the second time is less stressful because you're more or less familiar with how the authorities work and you are okay with waiting a bit and everything because you're already in Austria. There is no deadlines or anything that's kind of pushing you or pressuring you, because even if they take a bit longer to prolong your residence permit, as long as their decision hasn't been made yet, even if your residence permit has expired, you're still legally allowed to stay in Austria. So let's get just that out of the way. It's fine, nothing happens. And to prolong the residence permit, the process is a bit different. And before I start talking about anything, I just want to make a disclaimer. I am not a visa consultant, and your first point of reference for this kind of stuff should be the official websites, the emails from the authorities, calling them, whatever. So this is your first, the first priority where you look. And then if you want to know more about, well, my experience and how it is for most people, you can watch this video. But again, if I say something, and of course you should check it, right? Because it's your documents, right? We're talking about its important things. So please don't think that if something happened one way for one person, it's going to happen exactly the same way for you. Because, different scenarios, sometimes they ask for different additional documents and so on and so forth. But this is just the general story of it. So when you have an expiration date, let's say it's around September, October, and you can apply for the renewal of it 3 months at the earliest 3 months before the official expiration date, and the latest it's either the same day of the expiry or 1 day before the expiry. So let's say if your residence permit card expires on the 10th of September, the latest you can apply for the renewal would be it's either the 9th or the 10th of September, and the earliest you can apply for the renewal, if you want to get that kind of process out of your way early and forget about it for some time, would be 3 months before the 10th of September, right? So this is about the deadlines you have. And regarding the appointment, to set it up, you have to go to the magistrat, so to MA35 of your district, and you don't have to go to the main one, where you went to pick up the residence permit the first time. You have to go to a separate one, like a branch that's located in each district. And for example, if you live in the second district, that's the district where the university VU is located, your magistrate that you're going to go to for the renewals of the residence permit would be the one at Antragsformular, and it's right, so from VU, from the station Kriau, Mesa Prater, just 1 or 2 stations away. And then it does take you quite some time to walk there, so please don't be like me and don't think, okay, just 1 station away. It is 1 station away, but you have to walk a lot around the stadium, because you have to, you go for quite some time there to get there. So for the appointment, you would schedule it in the online tool. You will have the date and everything, and please make sure to schedule it not last minute, because you might not have the appointment for last minute, and you really have to make it work before it expires. So at least, let's say 1 month or a few weeks before the expiration date, look for appointments and set it up just so you have it. And then after you confirm the appointment and you get the confirmation email, then you can start collecting the documents. And there is a website with the whole list. So there is the big chunk of document, the checklist, the big chunk of it. And then after that kind of big section, you have, in addition, in case of first-time application, and you have the list of what you need for the first-time application. But if it's the renewal, that list doesn't apply to you, and only the second kind of addition, and I will show you what I mean here, applies. So you would have the big chunk of text that applies to you, and you would also have the little addition in case of renewal, please bring this and this and this. And of course you would need, so the main documents would be, of course, the financial proof, so you would have to print out the statement from the bank that you have enough funds. And to do that, I just usually go to the bank straight away. Because online I don't think you can really I'm not sure, I think you can, but still, just in case, I just go to the bank, I ask them, I don't wait too much, you just go to the nearest branch near you, you ask for this confirmation, they give it to you, they sign it and everything, so you for sure have the right thing, right? And then that's it. And they might or might not ask you about the origin of those funds again, because it's stated that in case of kind of additional requests from the authorities. If not, because if you're renewing it, they probably checked your first application, and if you had to present the proof of funds there, they would likely assume that the fund origin would be more or less the same, so they might not ask you about that. And then, of course, they would also require you to bring in the confirmation of where you live, so to kind of calculate your rent, so how much rent you pay and so on and so forth. So there is the list that goes on. And for the confirmation of health insurance, you should have a document somewhere stating that you are, well, registered and you have health insurance. But if you don't have it, worst case scenario, just go to the OGK, probably. That's the most popular kind of student-ish, because it also can be used by any person. Health insurance. You also have the Feel Safe insurance. I think they renamed it, so there was some rebranding, but the original name was Feel Safe. You just basically can go to your health insurance branch, and then you can ask them to please print so that they print out the confirmation that you're registered within this insurance company for you. It might take you a day to get the bank confirmation and the health insurance confirmation. You might have to wait in line a bit, but it's worth it. It's just one day. It's fine. You just do it once a year when you have to renew it. Not a big deal. But you probably have a way to get those documents in a more efficient way. I would assume so. But in case you lose it or you don't know, blah, 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 you just go to the branch and they do everything for you. It's quite common, so they know what to give you. So don't worry about that. And if you're studying, to renew it, you would have to show academic progress. So depending on what are your studies, like is it master's, PhD, bachelor's, or if you're finishing, if you're graduating, and so on and so forth, you might be required to present different documents. But basically the more general case would be you submitting the confirmation that you're registered at the university, and also that you have academic progress. And for that, you need to submit a confirmation that you have completed subjects for 16 ECTS, or kind of credit hours, like points for the subjects that you have at the university in very simple words. And you need at least 16 of them for the whole academic year. And it might sound, is it a lot? Is it not a lot? It's not a lot. Trust me, it's very little. Like, it's very manageable to get those. Because, for example, at VUBBE, the first semester is worth 30 ECTs, and the second one is worth 30 more ECTs. So after finishing the first semester, you're already kind of met the criteria for 16 ECTs, so you don't have to worry about it. Because, for example, when you're finishing the second semester, you might not get everything accredited, right, for the time of depending when you have the appointment, for the time of your appointment, because some subjects take some time to be put in the system, blah, 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 blah. But just be sure if you follow the proposed schedule, the ideal one, you would have more than enough credits or ECTS points to apply for renewal, so don't worry about it. So that's kind of the most general case. And if you're concerned, like which document exactly do you need to print, you have to look at the name that's in the checklist and compare it with the name in the German version from the website for example, for VU, it's called Online Services for Students, and there is a bunch of documents you can print out for yourself online, and you should match the names, right? What I do is I just print everything. I love this strategy, I know, but just to have it all with me, I just print everything. And yeah, and for example, when I was renewing my residence permit, when I was transferring from a bachelor's to a master's program, I brought everything I could. I brought my whole progress for the bachelor's, I brought my diploma for the bachelor's, I brought the confirmation of master's, approval of admission to master's, just to be sure. I don't think they asked for all of it, but I just still had it on my hands because it's just a few, but not a few, but you just print a bit more, but then you're sure that you have everything at hand if they ask for it. So yeah. Also, what you could potentially be asked, differs from person to person. So for example, if the person checking your documents has any additional questions towards you, they might ask you, for example, for the rent payment. When I presented my contract, they said, okay, can you just please show us the latest rent payment just so we know it matches? I was like, yeah, sure. So here you go. Here's the latest rent payment from my bank account. I just send it by email. So in case you're missing something and you show up and you bring everything, the majority of the documents, and they want something additional or you're missing something, you can just send it by email. You don't have to go there again. You don't have to go to post to send it to them. Just send it by email. It's pretty easy. So what I had to do is just had to print out the latest, payment confirmation that goes to my dorm from my account, and that it was all said and done. Also, when you go there, I think you have to take the fingerprints again. So I renewed it last year. That's why I don't remember it exactly, because, well, now the day of my filming, my residence permit hasn't expired yet. So I will apply for the residence permit prolongation a bit later. That's why what happened a year ago is not the freshest information in my brain, because as long as you go through this process, you're just like, I am done, bye-bye. And the brain just erases everything. But I'm pretty sure you have to take the fingerprints again. And also there is a form you have to fill out, and every time I make the same mistake, I fill it out, right? It gets approved, there is no questions, and then I forget to write down my answers, because then the next year I have to go through the same process again, and I don't remember anything. I don't remember what exactly I filled. Okay, some things are pretty straightforward, like my name, blah, blah, blah. But some things you're like wondering, okay, what exactly do they want from me here, or what exactly should they put here? And you're kind of confused, and my advice to yourself, basically, an investment to your future self, write down your answers on a separate piece of paper, like on a second form, just so you remember what you put, so you can refill the form like in a year or two later, and you're not going to be confused by the things there. And not everything applies there. So if you have a form and there is a bunch of sections there, right? Because different people have different cases, and for example, if there is a section called parents or legal guardian section where you put their birth date, their names, blah blah, it might not apply to you if it doesn't apply to you if you're over 18, because you know what, I looked at the section, I was panicking because I left the section blank when I was filling it out, and I was on my way to the appointment. I was like, okay, I forgot this, and I didn't remember my parents' birthdays. I'm a great daughter, and I had to call them, and I was like, okay, what are you guys' birthdays, because I don't remember. And it turns out I didn't actually have to fill it in, because it's not applicable to me, because, well, I'm over the age of 18. So yeah, so don't panic. And in these cases, in case you're really unsure about what you filled in, just bring a second copy with blank pages, just in case if you have to refill something, you can just quickly get the blank page where you didn't write anything, and replace it, because you don't want to replace all 10 pages if in case there's just one mistake that you need to change on one page. That's a good life hack, and I always do that. And also for printing, please print everything before probably a day before the appointment, because if you don't, you will end up like me, because I run to the appointment, I look pathetic, I look messy, but yeah. So print out everything the day before, because you never know if you run out of pages, if the printer doesn't work, or anything happens. And the most common places to print stuff would be your university. For example, at VU you have the AHAH building where you can print, and you also have the library. You can also print, well, in the library, of course. There are printers. There is the PC room where you go and you print there, and you have a certain limit of pages on your student account for free. And if you want to go over that, you have to pay. And yeah, and for the AHAH building, it's a different story, because you have to have a special kind of card for that, and you have to pay for that. And I think you can get it because basically my friend, she gifted the card to me because she was moving out of Vienna and she didn't anymore, and she had like a bunch of pages left there, so she just gave it to me. But I'm pretty sure you get it at the bookshop, I would assume, also on campus. So yeah, so check the opening times. The PC rooms at the library work 24/7. The AHAH building, there are opening times. So yeah, so print everything the day before, so you don't have the stress of that on the day of the appointment, because trust me, not an ideal situation. Yeah, and fill out the form. And in case you're running late, or in case something doesn't work out, don't worry if you're 5 to 10 minutes late. It's usually not a big deal, not a big problem. I was 5 to 10 minutes late before, because I always overestimate how fast I go and how fast I walk. So shouldn't be too big of a deal. So if you're late, it's not over. You just go there, go to kind of it's first you go through the person there, sometimes not, that checks your appointment and your name and everything and let you through. Then there is the register window. So you get the little paper ticket to wait in line. You go to the register window that's in front, so it's in the waiting room. You submit all the documents, they check everything, and then you go a bit further down the corridor and you wait there for the actual kind of authorities to call you into like a room where they check everything once again, where they, I think, take your fingerprints again. Not sure, depends, maybe not. Honestly, I don't remember, but I for sure did have to submit my fingerprints at least once in that authority office, not at the first time application, but when I was renewing it. And you just wait there, and at the appointment, so if you come on time, it should take you around 20 minutes max. But again, this differs because it depends how many people were before you and everything, and sometimes you have to wait a bit, so reserve an hour to 2 hours just in case for this. So if you have a lecture, if you want to meet with a friend, try to reserve at least 1 hour for that. Ideally, but of course it can go a bit quicker, and usually does. It will go a bit slower. Regarding the timeline of everything, okay, you have the residence permit card, right? And another important point is that the residence permit is tied to your travel documents. So for most students, it's the international passport or just the passport, depending on where you're from. And for that passport, sometimes it expires. So usually you get it for 5 or 10 years, and you just forget about it. And it's just there. If it lasts you for 5 years, 10 years, you just forget about the expiration date. But it's there. The expiration date exists there as well. And because I went through this very amazing situation, when I look at my passport and I see it expires quite soon, so it won't be enough for the full year, because basically the residence permit is given to you for the year, and if the passport ends halfway through the year, they cannot give you a residence permit that's valid for a year, because that's not how it works. And I was panicking. I was calling the authorities. I was emailing them. I was not sure how fast can I get it renewed, because it takes quite a while to get a new passport. And I had to go to Budapest to get a last-minute appointment there and to renew my passport. I have to travel back to Vienna, and I had to go to Budapest again to pick up my passport. It was a whole story because, well, I forgot about the expiration date. And yeah, but in case it expires soon, let's say, and you can't renew it, there's nothing you can do. You just apply for the renewal. They give you it for the time that whatever time is your travel document is valid for, and then you ideally would register for the passport renewal, and then you get the new passport, and then once your residence permit expires, you renew it again with the new travel document, so the new international passport. More or less like that. So in case you have a situation that you think you cannot resolve, it's usually resolvable, right? If you're late, it's totally fine. If you forgot to fill out something in the form, they can just tell you, hey, you forgot this, so it's totally fine. If you forgot a document or you need something additional, you can just send it by email, so don't overstress the situation. I know it's stressful. I know you might think, okay, documents, such a big deal. It is, but there is ways you can fix what you think is a problem. So yeah. And also, don't forget to print out, there is a little paper that states your, loans or whatever you have. And if you don't have any loans, because as a student, I don't think you're even allowed to have a loan in Austria, you would just put 0 there and sign it. And just a paper, you have to print it out. It's very quick to fill it out. Just don't forget it. It's on the website, and I will highlight what I'm in here. So yeah, so just go through the checklist, make sure you have everything, and when you're filling out the form, if you're not sure, you think you either leave it blank, or you fill it out how you think is right. You're not sure if it's totally right, but you fill it out and you bring a blank page just in case you have to rewrite something. And also, if you're struggling with German, there is an English explanation, and an English version of that form. You cannot fill it out, so just for the explanation purposes, but you can use it as a guide to fill out the actual German form. So yeah. And what else? And about the timeline. So you're wondering, how long do I have to wait until I get my answer if it's approved or not? So the timeline for me, so my residence permit usually expires around October, around the 20-ish end-ish of October. And in one of the years, I applied for the residence permit renewal appointment on the 14th of October, so in the middle of October. Then I had to wait, and once you apply and once your appointment goes and you submitted all the documents, you have to wait for a mail, not an email, a mail in your post box that states, okay, the decision, if it's approved, and then it states the date and the time of the appointment when you have to pick it up. So check your post box regularly, not to miss it. And once you get the appointment mail, please read the last page, because if you turn it over, there is a page that says you have to pay a small fee for like a pickup. I think it's around 20 euros for the card. And don't be like me, because I forgot to flip the pages and I missed it, but it was fine. Like, I was super stressed and worried, but the person who was taking my documents and checking them, he said it's totally fine, just please pay it now and show me the confirmation and send me the confirmation by email, and if there is any problem, we'll just contact you if the money hasn't reached the account of the authorities. So again, a situation that's stressful, it was resolved in 5 to 10 minutes, but yeah, I was super stressed about it. So you read everything carefully, and then you show up to the appointment. And the appointment date for me was, so I picked it up on the 8th of November. So it takes you around a bit less than a month to go through the whole thing. And also what's important here to note is that they cannot give you a new card before your old one expires. So let's say if your old card expires at the end of October, they cannot give you a new one before that. So of course I had to wait a bit, but as long as they're taking their decision, you can totally stay within Austria. You just cannot leave Austria. And if you really need to leave within the time frame, you have to ask for an emergency document stating that you can leave and come back within these days, but this is only for emergency situations, of course. So yeah, and also a story from my friend is when she was going for exchange, and she had the old card and the new card coming up in some weeks that she had to pick up. And then basically she would have to leave for exchange before the expiration of the old card, but before picking up the new card. And in this case, she explained everything, and they found a solution for her. So if you have a really inconvenient and urgent situation, please reach out to the authorities, call them, email them, and state everything, and they will try to find a solution for your case. So don't be afraid to contact people. They're there to help you. And don't be intimidated, because sometimes, when you're waiting, some people are shouting or discussing something very loudly there, and you're afraid. But as long as you're polite, as long as you have the documents with you, and as long as you're reasonable and everything, you should not encounter problems. So don't be intimidated. But if some people have an argument over the document, or some people are confused, it all depends on your attitude, and so be respectful, and you will very likely get respect back. So as long as you're clear about yourself, and to yourself you're clear to them. So there should just another day, but a day where you have a bureaucratic event happening. So don't stress over it too much. It's the renewal, so it's not the first time application that's stressful when everything is new, and you should be totally fine. I hope this video helped. I will also write a description with all the links and more exact document lists and everything. And you can also leave a comment down below if this video helped you, or if you have any questions left. And if you're someone who went through the process, you can also share tips and tricks or something that's useful with the people, for the people who are applying for the renewal for the first time and they're still not sure how the process goes. Thank you a lot for watching, and bye bye.